The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. This is the place where you come to get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques to leapfrog over the pack in sales, persuasion, and influence. Be sure you visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, tune in, and enjoy today's episode.
Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. Today we have a guest who I automatically am envious of him because he has great hair, and I don't anymore. His name is Mark Osborne. Say hi, Mark.
Hey.
Before I read your gargantuan biography that would make Godzilla power at its size, so let's get going. I'll just try to power through.
Sure.
Recognized by Ad Age magazine as one of the world's top 25 marketing technology trailblazers. That's pretty good. Not leader, not master, but trailblazer. And a #1 best-selling author on B2B marketing and sales. Now, Mark, you didn't guess the name of your book. What's the name of your book?
Are your leads killing your business?
I love that. I love that because everyone's all about leads, generate leads. And it's a load of bullshit because a lot of leads are worthless or next to worthless, and we'll get into it. So you, Mark Osborne, with the great hair, bring decades of experience creating revenue growth for business-to-business SaaS, that's software as sales, right?
Software as a service.
Software as a service. And boutique professional, I love that word, boutique professional service firms. Mark has delivered tens of millions of dollars in revenue for his clients, often doubling revenues in 90 days.
Yeah.
His focus on building systems that emphasize strategic approaches to growth. And we could go through more and more of this, but we've run out of time. So Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here, Paul.
So how does someone become a maven, a master, an expert, a wizard at teaching B2B how to avoid all these traps of acquiring shitty leads and getting great leads and then generate maximum revenue from those leads? What was your journey into discovering all this?
Sure. So it's actually sort of a funny story. I actually got into marketing through music. So in college, I was playing in bands and managing bands. And this is the, like 90s. So people didn't have access to the internet all the time. Like they'd get once a week, they'd go to the library and they'd log on. But I noticed that people started sharing concert tapes. So like I have the bootleg concert tape of the Dave Matthews Band when they performed in Birmingham. So I saw this and I was like, well, I know that they like the Dave Matthews Band and I know that they live in Birmingham, and their logon name was their email address because there's no such thing as spam back then. People wanted you to know how to get in touch.
That's right.
So I started building databases of, different, music preferences and geographic areas and email addresses. So when one of the bands that I managed went to Birmingham, that sounded like Dave Matthews, went to Birmingham, I'd send all those folks an email and invite them out to the show. And so I was selling out concerts for little unknown bands. Today, we would call that, database marketing or geographic and behavioral segmentation, whatever you want to call it. But that led to a job at a record label, which led to a job at a radio station. And then I, went and got my MBA and worked for a digital marketing agency And really there was this long time where it was all about sort of being first to market on a new, sort of like growth hack. So if your business was the first to advertise on paid search, you cleaned up. Or if you were the first to optimize your website for SEO, or the first to advertise on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it might be. So there's a whole generation of marketers that have been obsessed with finding the new like growth hack, like the new thing. But what I've realized that's changed in the last few years, and I was in that group of sort of growth hacking marketers. You read the ad age thing about marketing technology, and I was a big believer in that. I chased the next big thing all the time. But over the last few years, I've realized that it's just impossible to keep up with the pace of innovation. The Marketing Technology Conference publishes like a landscape of all of the different marketing technology and data providers that can help your business grow. And when they first started publishing the lists in like 2011, 2014, there were like 150 companies on there. Now there's over 10,000. So you just can't keep up with the pace of innovation. And truly today, companies that are consistently growing aren't the ones that are chasing another growth hack. They're the ones that are building systems that they can then layer in data or layer in technology to make it work better, faster, stronger, 24 hours a day without human error, whatever it might be. But it's really that key is building those systems that allow you to then layer in the data and technology. That's the real key to success. And that's what I really focus on with my clients.
How do you deal with clients? So I can just tell you, I personally have people running my systems for me. Sure. Because systems to me are anathema. I'm crazy creative and a visionary. Sure. How do you take on a client who's a visionary and who thinks systems are sort of like doing calculus sideways? I'm assuming they would only beckon you and say, we need help.
Well, so there's sort of two things. I'm a believer that systems set you free. They actually enable more creativity. They enable more freedom and all those things. But certainly there are a certain number of business leaders that have this, sort of mindset of, oh, I don't want to be held down or bogged down by systems, or they feel like they can't, sort of find the time to do the documentation. And one of the ways that we sort of help with that is we can just sort of follow, what you do today that leads to success. So if we need to build a system about how you send out your weekly newsletter, let's just document what you do to create your weekly newsletter. Well, maybe you think about this, you come up with some topics, then you do a little research and come up with some more content. Then you actually write it, and then you load it into your email system, and then you send it out. And then you have some sort of call to action, and you look at how well it did. Okay, let's just write all that down. And now it's not dependent on you doing it. It's something that you can train someone else to do. And now that gives you the potential to bring in someone else who might have some good ideas, maybe ideas that you haven't had before about how to do that better, faster, stronger, more efficiently, or more effectively, whatever it might be. And so we start by just sort of documenting that sort of critical flow on the things that you do as part of your business. And then once we've documented it, now we can start to set some, sort of outcome objectives like, well, I want to get one sent every week. And that's, your goal for your newsletter, to keep with that example. Or maybe you want to up that to 3 times a week. Or maybe you want to get 10% of the people you send it to open it, and half of those people to respond or engage or click through or whatever it might be. So we can start to set these KPIs that measure the success of the system. Now we've got, we've defined a process, a system. We've defined some KPIs that measure success. Now we can
for 1 second.
Yeah.
Pause for 1 second. Excuse me. For those of you who tune into the show for the brainwashing and covert hypnosis and CIA stuff, KPI stands for key performance indicators.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, not at all. I appreciate that. So once we sort of laid out this system and our key performance indicators, now we can start to hypothesize, and this is where it really gets creative. And you can bring in other people that normally wouldn't give you, have an opportunity to help you improve. Now that they can see this system laid out, they can hypothesize with you, how can we be more persuasive on getting that click through? Or how can we make the content more engaging? How can we
Right.
make the headline better? And all those different things. And that's really how the system enables you to be more creative and to really have a lot more freedom in your business.
I actually agree with you. I have the systems. I just have a masterful chief technology. I
Sure.
guess you would call him a CTO, and my operations person who's masterful at doing all this. He just shows me the reports, so I don't
Sure.
have to bother with any of it. Otherwise, I'd be lost. What intrigued me, in addition to having contact with you and knowing who you are, I love this idea that leads can kill your business.
Yeah.
Because it's contrarian. And here on the Influencer's Edge, we like contrarians. We like
Yeah.
people who think outside the box and disconnect the dots and color outside the lines. And so tell us more about that. I have an idea why you say it, but I want to hear it from you, from your own lips, why you say
Yeah. Well, so since we're it's almost Halloween here as we're recording this. I'm not sure when it'll publish, but so I'll use some examples from sort of classic horror movies. There's really kind of three kinds of clients that kill your business, and the first is like Jigsaw. I don't know if you've seen the Saw movies.
of course.
That's the customizer. They demand that you customize everything about your solution for them. And the reason is they don't really believe in your vision for the solution or the product. And so they demand that you customize it to them. The problem with that kind of client is, well, that they require more resources. But worse than that, they distract you from what the rest of the market really wants and what your competitors are building. So if you're distracted by this client that's requiring all this customization, they're pulling you further and further behind your competition. So that's killer client number one. Killer client number two is like Jason, the classic slasher from Friday the 13th, or from the Friday the 13th
Yeah.
movies. And they're the price slashers. Again, they don't really believe in the value that you're delivering to the market. And so they demand that you cut this price or you whittle down. So you essentially got no margin left. And so if you don't have any margin, having the client doesn't really do you that much good because you can't reinvest in your solution. So you can't keep up with the pace of change in the marketplace and to create new things for them. And then the third type of sort of killer client is like the Freddy Krueger, and I call them the churn and burn. He's got those, razor blades on his fingers that'll churn you up, and then he's got all those burn scars. And these are the clients that, and they might be from one of those other two groups as well, where they leave without ever providing a referral or a testimonial or getting to a place of profitability or really being sort of a reliable partner with you as you sort of create your solution. And that's really depressing for your team that's working. So it
I would
creates
say,
burnout within your team. It burns you out. You can't dominate a marketplace or really rise to a position of leadership in a marketplace if you've got a leaky bucket and these clients are always leaving out. So if you can identify those types of clients early on in the sort of lead generation process, so before you ever spend any time, and you can know, and in fact, there are some ways to know pretty reliably that they're going to wind up being one of those three, and then you can not chase them. Then you can focus your efforts on those opportunities, those leads that could be your ideal clients, because we all know that 80% of our revenues come from just 20% of our customers. So by identifying those potentially great customers early on, then you can put your resources to win those deals. Because if you're just spreading all your resources equally against every lead that comes in, and half those leads are these potential killer clients, you're going to lose the best opportunities because your competitors are identifying those best opportunities. And so then they put all of their resources on it so that they win those deals. But if you haven't built the systems to help you identify those best opportunities, you're going to lose to your competitors.
great answer. The question is, how do you go about doing that? How do you go about what is your methodology? What is your system for identifying those monsters and keeping them caged up and away from you?
Yeah. So it all starts with sort of defining the types of companies that wind up being really happy with your solution. So this concept of an ideal customer profile, but going beyond just sort of like boring firmographic things. So defining like, well, it's a company that works in this industry that's of this size that, has this kind of product or service, but really getting into, is it a company that likes to take risks, or is it a company that's more conservative? Because those are things that you'll find you typically do well with one type of company or another. Is it a company that's growing and they need our solution to help them grow, or is it a company that's contracting and they need our solution to help them mitigate that loss? Again, different services, different providers, even in the same space, can do well with one or the other. And so by really knowing the types of companies that you mesh well with and that wind up being, sort of your best customers, you can identify pretty quickly if a lead coming in matches that. Not only that on sort of the company profile, but getting into the, sort of the personalities of the decision makers. You can start to, identify, does this decision maker, this person that's likely to be our day-to-day client on an ongoing basis, do they align with the type of people that wind up being our best customers on a real personal basis? And again, so by defining the personas of a decision maker and the champion, the end user of your product, and then really holding up the people within the company that are evaluating you against that standard of, this is what great looks like. They don't look like that. And so instead of then chasing them and hoping to close the deal, and then only to have them wind up being one of those killer clients, you can, kind of say, you know what, here's our price, take it or leave it. And not spend your resources chasing those bad opportunities, and instead focus your attention and resources on those really good opportunities that do have that potential to grow.
Sounds to me that a lot of what you do is investigative work, a lot less pitching, but very much being a detective, an investigator.
There's some of that, and I'm sort of a data-driven decision maker, and so I kind of start by getting every client that has worked with someone for the last 2 years, and I stack them by how much revenue they generated. I look at those that made the top 80% of your revenue, which typically is about 20% of your customers. And then I start to say, what's similar about them from a firmographic standpoint, the company, from the people that were the decision making, from the context that they were operating in, so their mindset as they were approaching the business. And then that starts to really sort of make this profile crystal clear. A lot of times companies will have, sort of a wish list. We wish we worked with these kind of companies. We wish we had these kind of buyers, but that isn't actually who they wind up being successful with. And so this, sort of difference between reality and what they wish was reality can really help them focus in and do a better job of, focusing on where they have the opportunity for success.
I think this distinction between wishing what you hope was true and the reality is a big problem in every area of life. So to have someone come along and clarify that for you may bruise your ego and sensibilities, but it'll fatten your wallet. So good.
That's right. That's right.
Good for you. Let's keep going.
Sure.
All right. 3 types of revenue systems businesses need to grow and thrive. Is this like streams of income, or is this something different?
No, it's different. So if you think about, sort of there's a continuous flow from an anonymous, target in the marketplace to your best customer. There's really 3 types of systems that you go through there. There's the attraction systems. So attracting more of those right prospects, those people that are going to wind up being your best customers. There's acceleration systems, accelerating your best opportunities through the sales pipeline so that they don't bog down or get lost or, sort of close for smaller. And then there's activation systems, activating your existing clients for faster renewals, larger upsells, more referrals. And we really sort of focus on identifying which of those 3 areas are you strong today versus where are you weaker today. And we actually have built a diagnostic tool that takes about the top 20 most important key performance indicators for professional services firms. And based on your answers on that, we can identify, oh, well, you really need to focus on these acceleration systems. You're bringing in a decent amount of leads. You're just not closing them very well. Let's focus on those kind of sales acceleration systems. Or, well, you've got some decent leads coming in and you do a decent job with closing them, but you're not getting any renewals or referrals or upsells. That we need to focus on your activation systems because you got a leaky bucket. And so we'll use the diagnostic to focus in one of those three areas, build up that system first, that sort of gaping chest wound, if you will. And once that system's operating at a better level, then we start to refine the other three and then bring them all together so that we can really sort of dominate the marketplace.
I think that third one is huge. This is not about B2B so much as it is B2C, but you know who Dan Kennedy is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Dan once said, the most expensive thing you can do in business is to acquire a customer, but the second most expensive thing is to lose the customer.
Yeah.
And, tangential to that, or as a corollary to that, not get referrals from that customer. So I think a lot of the leverage for many, many businesses is that third category.
It's so true. And it's so shocking how few businesses have taken the time to really systemize their process for getting referrals and for ensuring that their clients don't churn out and leave. And oftentimes it's just a function of like asking. Like now, there are certainly ways to enhance when you ask, how you ask, what you ask for. And there are systems that can, sort of help you improve that. But so often companies are just like, we do good work, they stick around. I mean, unfortunately, good ideas don't sell themselves. So you need to add some persuasive mechanisms in there in order to really be successful.
Well, we teach our clients to do it with subconscious implantation of post-hypnotic suggestions, but that's a complex thing, and you're the guest, not me. So let's continue on here.
Sure.
You're a sharp dude. I love this. Why do you caution B2B companies about outsourcing their marketing to an ad agency? Can I just say something before you answer this? I happen to hate ad agencies. I think they are mostly PT Barnum snake oil salespeople because they don't get paid by results. They just get paid by the hour. If they got a cut of what they made for you, that would be a different kind of deal. But I haven't found one yet that'll work on that basis. That's just prejudice.
There are some that exist like that. And if you would like a referral, I can connect you to some. But the problem with an ad agency is even if they do work just on a cut of what they bring for you, that makes them very short-sighted. Like now they can only do strategies that are going to generate sales for you today. That might not be what you need. And I often describe ad agencies, and I've worked at ad agencies and I've worked with some great ones in my experience. Unfortunately, that's not most of them. Most of them are, I kind of describe like a power tool. They're really good at, doing one thing strong, hard, and fast, but that might not be the thing that you need. But that's their filter of the world. That's their map. That's their conceptual map. And so, very often that conceptual map is let's buy ads. So you go out and you spend a bunch of money on ads, but they didn't think through, well, are we really targeting the ads to the right people, and are we bringing the right message to them, and do we have the right systems in place to, once we get some response to those ads, to actually nurture it and lead them through the sales cycle? Because they make money when they buy ads for you, because that's what they're designed to do. And so they are very often a hammer looking for a nail, which may not be the best way for you to build your house.
I just don't like them. Yeah, just speaking to you as a direct response marketer, I'm never mind. We'll get into it after the show.
Sure.
So, how did you come to build the systematic approaches you describe in your book, which is called, again, hold it up to the camera?
Yeah. Are your leads killing your business?
Love it. How did you come to develop? Well, let me back up.
Yeah.
Have you always been someone who thought in terms of systems?
So my dad has, advanced degrees in engineering and chemistry, and he was a chemical engineer. And so he's very, logical left brain. And my mom has sort of advanced training, and she did her work in social work and art and therapy. So I've
Right.
always been sort of that right brain, left brain balance. And I would like to say that I've always like that it comes naturally to me, and I think that it does. But that said, I told you, like, there's a whole generation of marketers that really found a lot of success by just chasing that next thing, being the first to go to paid search, being the first to optimize your website for SEO, being the first to go to Facebook. That was a successful strategy for 20 years, which is, an entire career for a lot of senior marketers. And so that said, and I did that. Like, I was an advocate for finding those little, kind of arbitration deals, or, ways to outsmart the algorithm. But what I've realized really over the last 5 years is that you just can't keep up with the pace of change. And so often I've seen companies sort of say, like, oh, this one thing, I'm gonna find leads on LinkedIn. That's the thing that's gonna, make my business blow up. And they chase that idea for 90 days or maybe more, and it doesn't really pay off, or it pays off in sort of unqualified leads or these killer clients. And so then someone else goes, no, you gotta build a YouTube channel. And if you build this YouTube channel, you'll be in front of all your decision makers. So they chase that for 90 days or maybe longer, and again, maybe they don't get many leads, or they get sort of these unqualified leads that they drown in. And then someone else says, no, what you got to do is, start writing white papers. And so they chase this idea of, creating that content. And so at the end of a year, they've got a collection of failed attempts, but they haven't made any progress. Whereas if they had taken the time up front to think through, what are the systems for attracting the right prospects, accelerating those best opportunities to our sales pipeline, activating our existing clients for renewals, upsells, and referrals, and did some things that maybe weren't as sexy, but that would sort of have this stair step where they could actually build something instead of scratching off lottery tickets for a living every day and hoping that this is going to be the thing that's going to pay off. That's the thing that I've seen businesses do that it hurts me. And so that's why I'm really sort of out there, like, trying to dispel the myth of the growth hack that's going to pay off, and to really sort of bring this idea of systems to play for companies.
I love the metaphor, scratching the lottery ticket. That is going to go in the liner notes for this show because I can identify with it. I totally identify. By the way, I think you know me also as Ross Jeffries, the seduction guy. I got on the World Wide Web in 1994 with seduction.com.
Okay.
We coined money. If you search pickup, if you search pickup, seduction, talk to girls, I was it. I was the only result that came up. So that is an example of jumping on something really fast. But you're right. There's 10,000 things, and nowadays it would never fly today.
That's right.
And I'd get canceled. All right. Actually, we've burned through our half hour very, very quickly. You've been a great guest. I know our audience is going to want to stay in the conversation with you. So in addition to that book, hold it up one more time, please.
And I'll be happy to give a free copy of this book to anyone that's listening. All they need to do is go to modernrevenuestrategies.com/free download. They get a free copy of the book, all of the templates and calculators and frameworks that I talk about in the book, so they can start to install it in their business right away. If they want a little more help and they're a little further along, I also built that diagnostic, which is at modernrevenuestrategies.com/diagnostic. It's about 20 questions that can really quickly, and I'll create a report for them that benchmarks them against other similar companies, so they can see, oh, wow, we do a pretty good job of bringing in leads, but we don't do as well as our competitors at closing those leads, or maybe we don't do as good at getting referrals or our word of mouth marketing. So I can help them diagnose those 3 areas really quickly and give them very actionable sort of recommendations on how they can start to implement those systems to grow their business.
Fantastic. And our producer, Tracy, will put those
Awesome.
in the show notes. All right, stay on with me because let's have a brief green room chat.
Sure.
Once again, another great episode of The Influencer's Edge from a guest who has far better hair than I do and knows stuff that I don't, which is why we brought him on today. All right, Mark, we'll catch you on the other side, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, one of these days I'll have a guest on who knows where the aliens are and who will tell me.
The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform in any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Thank you for tuning in to the Influencer's Edge, where you get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques so you can leapfrog over the pack in sales, influence, and persuasion. Remember to visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com to enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you again on the Influencer's Edge Show.